When you look at the NRM party primaries, it is a mega election. And there are many factors, the time I have been in the national resistance movement, that influence the nature and pattern of voting. You cannot rule out a possibility of somebody sponsoring a candidate against another friend, either in anticipation that if Opondo comes, what if the president sees him and he appoints him a minister? What if he comes and appoints him a minister? So people begin sponsoring individuals against the other or supporting others' opponents so that they can create an advantage for themselves.
Is it true that sometimes even the opposition infiltrates?
You know, I don't know whether you support football, whether you have any football team that you support. If football teams reach the quarterfinals, every team that succeeds to go to the finals would wish to have a weaker opponent go through so that they can meet during, although at times things change, because recently in the World Cup finals, most people thought that Madrid was stronger. Chelsea came as an underdog and went and beat PSG. And even in politics, things are like that. You may wish to get somebody whom you think is weaker, but unfortunately somebody comes up and dislodges somebody who has been great. There are many things that influence what comes out in the voting. And also, we need to work hard, strongly hard as a party, because although somebody has won, because of the nature and level of acrimony, there is a possibility that somebody may get so much angry that he may not want to support a flag bearer because of the acrimonious relationship they had in the primary elections. So this gives us a lot of work as a party to go back and talk to our members to come and help us. But you should know that the nature of violence that has happened in the primaries, it is something that must be watched in the general elections. Because those that have abused, we need some deterrence mechanism by the police so that people know that getting into violence is not something that must be.
If I could interrupt you, are there any areas that you've cancelled or post whose election you've called off?
That one we can only know tomorrow morning, because right now the situation is still unfolding. Our members who are on the ground are yet to come up with the final position. In many areas they are still tallying. We did find out whether the tally sheets that they are using are the correct tally sheets. You can't be sure people even forge tally sheets. So by morning, we should be having a clearer picture, because all our officers on the ground will have returned. And then too, we shall also wait to see whether there are any petitions, because the president has constituted a team of lawyers who are going to listen to the petitions. And the guidelines have also been published on how the petitions are going to be received.
What are some of the most prominent complaints that you've had today?
One of the important things that is going to come up, the elections were supposed to use a register. There have been rumors, I don't know whether it is true, where people say that in some places they haven't used the register. That is something that will have to be resolved by the tribunal. Secondly, there are people who say they are not on the register. If you're a candidate who was nominated, ordinarily you shouldn't have been nominated if you are not in the register. But if you are nominated, that means you are in the register. So if you are in the register at nomination, how come at the time of voting you are not in the register? Because everybody was required to produce a membership slip. Those are issues that will be resolved by the Electoral Commission. Then finally, the social media is awash by people who are using money. Who are these members of the opposition who are trying to influence the outcome from our side? Was it members of NRM who are trying to bribe and abuse? Because this is an offense to do bribe. So these are issues which the tribunal will have to look into and resolve according to the regulations and guidelines as have been provided.
Somebody stands and says, in the village, everybody knows he's an associate candidate of Ofwono, but is not appointed in writing. So even if you say, Semuju is distributing money on behalf of Ofwono. How do you prove? So those allegations are there, and they'll come.
Honorable Dongoto, do you imagine this is an election that is giving the opposition some bit of reflection and the managers of elections, especially as we head to 2026?
I think this was not an election to some extent. It was a selection. We should not misuse words and start saying it is an election. I isolate like 4 constituencies, like in Ajumani, where we have Moses Ali.
Who selected him?
But he was even sleeping in front.
Yeah.
While people were lining up.
Yeah.
That's
Look,
bad.
yeah, that's okay. It's okay. Look at the constituency of Vice President Jessica Lupo. Look at the constituency of Rebecca Kadaga.
What happened?
These are individuals who come with lead vehicles, with escorts, with motors, with RPGs. And you expect the local man in the village to go and line up freely. People will say, in the evening, they will burn my grass thatch house. Look at Gulu, where generals were involved in ensuring a musician fails election. They deleted in Badege Layibi half of the register. People want to vote. So now what is happening ahead of 2026 in Gulu?
This is an allegation.
It's not an allegation. It's the only city, by the way, where the police had to roll out full blast. This evening, if you are in Gulu, you may think Joseph Kony has come back. Full blast.
But Simon,
With the military.
you know that my brother Odongoto was the lead campaigner for somebody contesting in the NRM primaries. What was his interest?
That is called cross-pollination. But that is cross-pollination. But that is not the point. The point I'm saying is, for you to expect a free and fair election, when you have a person like Moses Ali, I've been to Ajumani. I've asked people, can Moses Ali best represent you? They say, no, ours is respect. This is an elder. We have to respect him. We don't want to get curses. Because if anything happens, we don't want to be seen. So now we are de-enfranchising the people of Ajumani. Opondo, listen, you first let Moses Ali come on this studio and just say the word constitution. Just constitution. Only. And then we call it a day. So we really have to be fair to the young generation. We really have to be fair.
But
because
it's the people's choice.
that is a selection. That is not an election. Because if you don't line up behind such characters, you will see in the evening. I'm glad Opondo, you are coming. I hope yours also will be lining up. The NRM should seriously consider, I think as a country, we should abolish lining up completely the way we abolish corporal punishment and caning children in schools. Because it is going 100 steps backwards.
Ask the victors.
We may have to adapt the system of Sweden, where we vote and the parties designate MPs. If we are running away from cost. If we say Buganda is red, then it is up to NUP to designate those who will be the members of parliament. Because this lining up is a complete disaster. Now, as we go towards 2026, with authority, actually will slip, basing on what happened today. It will slip towards the opposition. They have messed up Gulu municipality. In Kitgum, it will retain the NRM. It will not slip, but they will definitely slip towards the opposition. People are now saying, we are now not part of you. We are going where they like us. So the primary... because
the candidate will campaign according to him.
No. I think the people don't believe there is fairness, especially when they are giving out money. For example, these NRM MPs, this would be very disturbing information. 186 MPs, 186 went and picked money from moneylenders, from a moneylender in Parliament Avenue. That in November, in September, when they give them the refund for fuel, then now they will refund the Indian. So this commoditization, this where you give groceries, sugar, soap, salt, for heaven's sake, the election of Gulu should be nullified without even wasting time. Someone giving money in a line, that just go and line up that side, go and vote. This election should be nullified. We should not encourage where the highest bidder takes the day. This is serious because there are no longer issues.
No, but this has been a common trait, and it's been an enduring complaint forever.
Honorable Dombo was saying we spent 13 million,
Billion.
then billion, then later it changed to 12 billion. I don't know whether it was a slip of tongue. And when he was talking, Opondo was nodding next to him. Do you know how many Panadols and aspirins 13 billion can put in health centers all over the country? Do you know people dying in government hospitals? I know of government hospitals where only the mortuaries function well. All other departments, and you are spending 13 billion to go and line up. Lastly, in 1984, President Obote, visited us in Negri Primary. I was among the choir. I was quite a good singer. And at that time, we were told the minister was also coming alongside the President Obote, Ephraim Kamuntu. We prepared for 2 weeks. Now, today, in the year 2025, Ephraim Kamuntu is bouncing back to be an MP.
I think that's getting personal.
No, it's not personal. Someone I sang for in 1984 when I was in P1. So when are we going to leave way for the younger generation?
Isn't that what the Constitution says?
No, but we have to, not everything should be in the Constitution. We should be fair to the young generation. Rebecca Kadaga opened the first law firm, in the first female law firm in 1993. And today, they still want to be candidates. I think people should have shame.
Well,
even me, who is young.
Can I ask him?
Yeah.
Because we were in parliament with my brother, and when he lost the election, he swore never to make a comeback.
Yeah.
But I've heard that he's trying to make a comeback. What are you going for?
If Opondo, who cannot even run around the football field once, is coming back to parliament, what about me who can run 20 times?
No, yes, he's representing older persons.
So I'm coming back.
Odonga. I sang for Moses Sabli as the Minister of Finance in 1972, and I don't begrudge him.
No, I'm not begrudging.
No, but
first of all, you even don't know how to sing. I think you're lying. I doubt whether you can sing. 1972.
Odongo. What you are, I have been. What I am, you may not be, because you may not reach my age.
I don't wish to be.
So,
I really please.
So I don't begrudge people for their longevity in office, especially if they are people voluntarily choose them.
No, but the point I'm saying, if you are 85 years.
If you wanted, you were a member of parliament for 20 years.
Yes.
I did not hear you move a motion that members of parliament should serve either 3 terms or 4 terms and retire, or should not be eligible at a certain age. I think you should have made that proposal, and then maybe it is defeated on the floor. But you did not make. Now, there are also children today who started singing in parliament in 2001. Right from Makere, you had not done a single job anywhere. From your exams, you just, when you went to Agurawori, you remember you were part of Agurawori and Olanya in that election. You went immediately to parliament. There are children who say Odongoto has lived for too long in parliament.
No, but
yeah, they are today.
No,
go to secondary school.
That is diversionary. What I'm saying, with about 76% of Ugandans being below 35 years, you cannot have people who are 85 years, 90 years running for parliamentary elections. You should have personal shame.
No.
Personally, at 65, I think I would be politically done.
Well, now
this is it doesn't have to be in the Constitution.
You have amended from 2020, because you remember Odongo.
So why? Yeah.
In 2020, when you fell out with the FDC, you walked out of FDC, and you said you're not going. Your marriage with the FDC is done, and you said, and if FDC wants to test your power, your influence, let them sponsor a candidate against you. I think both you and FDC candidate lost. I'm not sure who won that constituency, but I think both of you lost. Now you are coming back, and I'm saying what you are saying about Matia Kasaija, what you may say about Museveni, what you may say about Kadaga. There are children in universities today who also think you have outlived your welcome. There are people who think Ofwono has stayed beyond his welcome. But the Constitution allows us to make those come back. If you want, simply organize against Moses. Mentor their young person.
Just in conclusion, the point I'm saying, this is not personal. Moses Ali, I've done legal work, I've been his lawyer. We were in law school together. I remember we were called for oral exams, but they respected him because he was sitting in the compound with a pillow, the escort behind him. So the lecturers were kind to not to follow the alphabetical order. They called the prime minister to come. Say, sir, we want to finish you. Maybe you have other government business. And he refused. He said, I think there's a plan on me. Let me wait for my time. Because he was not sure of the kind of questions he would be given. But what I'm saying is, there are certain things which are not written in law.
Yeah, but does this matter as we go into 2026?
It matters because how can the future of the country from a bigger picture? Can the future of the country be in the hands of those who cannot live for another 10 years? This should bother everyone. This is suicide. It's like a 90-year-old man booking a 1-year-old girl that when she reaches 18 years, she will marry. So we should be fair to young people. This is all I'm saying.
Well,
yes.
When you look at the surprises, the shockers, and the newcomers, of course, does it speak to anything about NRM democracy?
Yes, it does. First of all, you had asked whether the things that have happened are happening now, are likely to happen in the main election 2021. I think yes. This election of NRM, although Honorable Semuju doesn't want us to call it an NRM election, should teach us at least 2, 3, 4 things. One, that over commercialization of politics generally, not just election, is taking us a dangerous slippery path. One of the reasons today in Tororo, we have had 12 candidates, 12, running for district women MPs. 1 seat by 12 people.
Under the bus?
Yes. People who were voted for today, 12 candidates in Tororo, women MP. 2, I have been participating for others in election, but I'm seeing the over-commercialization and where people mortgage family savings. Although what I just told you, that people went, 186 people, MPs, sitting MPs, went and borrowed money against their future allowance, fuel. How about those who are not members of parliament, who are competing with them and they're throwing money? I have seen in the field people who are campaigning to be flag bearers, to get flag for the NRM youth MPs, and are spending much more money than myself, who has been working for the last 40 years and earning relatively well, because in the last 26 years, I have been at the director level. I've been earning relatively well. But and I ask myself, these children, the cars, I drive a double cabin, they drive a V8, and I ask, who's sponsoring them? Are their families rich? Who's sponsoring them? If they're women, perhaps do they have godfathers around them and so on?
Can I interrupt you?
It is incredible. The other one,
can I interrupt you? Just a bit. Yes. There's news coming in about Honorable Tinka Simiri. He has also been floored by Namara, according to provisional results.
Namara of Yala, I think.
Yes.
So, yeah, Dennis Namara. Now,
Namara got 59%. Tinka got 21%.
Now, the person, for example, I'm running with is a sitting member of parliament, and says, it tells delegates, I'm going to bring buses for you 6 days before elections, and I will keep you in a hotel, a good hotel in Kampala, and on that basis, he wants to be elected. So things like those, violence, we need to watch for the main election.
Can anything be fixed between now and then?
I think so. All depends on the government and particularly the NRM party. If we get 2, 3 people and we make a good example of them, for example, the bribery or instigating violence, and we make good example by saying, you are not going to run. We have cancelled your election. You are not going to run for election in NRM. If you want, you can go and run as an independent. but we have been holding people with the kid gloves. I think we can make a good example. Like the case Odongo was saying, if we can have proof, because like these things on social media, photographs where candidates are themselves distributing money, either at their campaign rallies or on voting day. I think we need to make a few people good examples, and that will deter a few people.
How about militarization of elections?
That goes together with that. You remember when we had the spate of shootings in Kampala, and ministers were profiled as high valuable targets for criminals, and many of them, including MPs, were given personal security. Police, some of them army. Apart from status symbol, many of them have taken too far. This case Honorable Semuju is talking about, of policemen in uniform, in the Chu, in Kamuri, needs to be investigated expeditiously, and we identify they were on whose line. Were they directed by their command, or were they somebody's personal detail? And they were told to stand, and then the election officers couldn't chase them away. And to make that person an example. The other area, in my view, is election officials. I don't think fiddling with the registers. One of the things you asked Honorable which you try to explain. We have had disputes about the register of NRM up to this morning. Even where the register is there, a candidate probably fearing elections, fearing to lose, raises frivolous complaint about a register. He says the register have been infected. Many of our people, under the guise of mobilizing for NRM, went and mobilized school children, particularly secondary schools. And today, in many places, you could see part of the fracas you saw. If I added school children, 800 of them in a register in one village, 800. Now they come and say all of them should register. No, none of them wants to cross-check the details. One of the places in Tungamo today where Honorable Yona Musingu's the MP was seen with the truncheon chasing people.
It was a baton for police.
A truncheon is baton. Yes, and now the issue was that there were people outside the gate who are saying we must also be allowed to vote. They did not want the register applied at all. Now, once you have that crowd, you are only two policemen with the two election officials. There's no way you can withstand that crowd. You just give away and say, okay, all of you come and vote. And that happened in a number of places. Unfortunately, maybe they were not captured on a credible record. So it will be something that it is neither here or there. The lawyers will ask you whether it is admissible, whether that evidence is admissible. But there are many things this election can teach us. Yes, it can teach us. But I really think it takes two to tango. Initially, we had encouraged. Our regulation says joint candidates campaign. There would be nothing wrong, people going for joint candidates. But you saw along the way, people just abandoned. Because you go there, somebody wants to insult you. And that's where a fracas starts. I wouldn't mind having my opponent coming on this show and we debate what we want to do for other persons, or what we want to do for Ugandans, or how we can strengthen NRM voice in parliament. But people don't want that civility. But I think what has happened in NRM can teach us a lesson. What can we avoid?
Well, Honorable Semuju, do you think NRM has now raised the bar or set the yardstick for 2026?
I am not seeking to contradict myself. I said earlier, I don't consider this as a party NRM election, because the NRM and the state have become one.
Did you see anyone from the Independent Electoral Commission in this election?
Did they need them? I saw police, I saw military, I saw ministers in government vehicles with bodyguards. So the entire state infrastructure has organized and participated in NRM, so-called NRM primaries. So so there is no bar that NRM is setting. Let me tell you, even if you're not an economist, if you sit down and calculate the amount of money they have spent, anyone who pays taxes in Uganda should be worried that these fellows have capacity to deliver voting material to all these areas, pickups. They are able to, because when we are making a budget for the security organizations, we never had a budget for NRM elections. In fact, if you want to know, in the general elections, police alone has asked for 350 billion.
For elections,
For elections.
specifically.
Then you can do some mathematics. How much have they spent policing NRM elections? The military asked for more. Ask yourself, how much have they, and then the capacity of our forces, that this police with all the equipment and vehicles that can't police an NRM election, and you need the military also to participate. So I am more worried about the privatization of the state. I saw people on social media very creative. There's a footage that election materials have been delivered in Zimbabwe, and this was all Chiboko on pickups. They're offloading sticks. And someone said the election materials for Zimbabwe are being delivered. So the militarization of our lives, that even for a simple exercise of people lining up to choose a flag bearer.
So does it paint a grim picture of what 2026
It
holds?
tells you actually that it will be worse. Because if the contest between Sechikubo and Rwashande, because the insurance that Sechikubo has is that he says, I support Museveni, and he puts on a Museveni portrait. So they don't want to injure a person who has a Museveni t-shirt. But if you have Bobo Wine or someone else and you are the one contesting against Rwashande, it will be death. Yeah. This one here, they can, and I saw military, there's a video, they're just pushing gently because they are pushing two NRM warring factions. If it is another party contesting with NRM,
That's how UPDF is supposed to be.
yeah, but
Having gentle
I agree with you. That is how they are supposed to behave.
That's the standard.
In the last election, they were shooting and celebrating the death.
No, it's shooting
So-
if you are violent.
You don't have to be violent. Upon all the people who were shot in Kampala were not violent, because they are shooting in pickups, shooting in arcades. There is an old man who was checking on his daughter selling matoke. The old man was shot dead, the daughter and a muzukuru. So really, you can see at least now there are some equal forces. You don't start with the riots. When Kyagulanyi was arrested, you start with the arrest. That one presidential candidate says, this one is now causing me trouble. You arrest him. Because that's what Museveni has been doing in all elections. So, certainly he was. So the privatization in the NRM, so-called NRM primary, at least there was equal forces. You have a pistol, someone has an AK-47, and then police will intervene. Now they are going to deploy all this force against the unarmed civilian, and then they will accuse them. But there's also another thing that has cropped up. I was sharing a video, and I hope Opondo will pick interest in it. Especially in Kampala here. I saw a young man being killed, being stoned around in Zambia today. They were in a group putting on 7 t-shirts like they have done before. They call it a gari. So they went robbing. But in the process of running, because they were borders and other people running after them, one of them remained behind, and he has been stoned to death in Zambia. This morning, as I went to Katonga for my PFF meeting, I saw a number of those young men in clusters walking with the NRM flag and Museveni, and I didn't see them rob anyone, but the way they were looking, that menacing look and shabby, so I knew that something was about to happen. So Ofwono Opondo,
NRM has a guard.
they have in Kampala, they have hired criminals. They are the ones moving around within in
No, are you aware of this?
You know, President Museveni, when he took the oath as the president of Uganda, he's the president of everybody, including people like Semuju and all the notorious people who are in town. It is the responsibility of a sitting government to ensure that we work as much as possible to remove the criminal gangs by creating alternative sources of income. So the president deployed the General Damulira, Major General Damulira, to go and ensure that he detoxes. As he fights against criminality, he must fight and get those people out of criminality and try to rehabilitate them. That is a process that's not easy. At times, they have created bigger problems than the good intentions we want, but definitely as NRM...
So these are part of you?
And as government, we cannot give up.
Okay, these rogues are part of NRM.
I think
Some of them are.
I think
Some of them are.
the pattern which is happening is it would be an overstatement to say the NRM has recruited rogues, because I saw the way they arrested the other ones that were robbing people and the way they were arraigned in court.